Okay, well, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for coming along on a Friday afternoon. I'm sure you've got other things you'd rather be doing on a sunny Friday, but I do appreciate you coming along to watch this webinar. So as you probably know, we're from Make Happen. So we do lots of workshops and activities with students like yourselves about your future options and how to support you in making decisions about university or other higher education courses. So these are some of our partners that we work with. So we work across the whole of Essex. So you might recognise some of these logos here, lots of councils, lots of universities. You might even see your college up here as well. And then just to go straight into it, we are going to get into some student finance today. So I'm going to do a little bit of applying, how to budget, how to repay the loan, what it might mean for you in terms of your future prospects, and a little bit of discussion about whether it's worth it. So we'll start out, sorry, I'll move my Zoom bar out the way, it's blocking my slides. There we go. So we'll start out with some stats. So these are some numbers that have come from one of the recent student surveys. There's a survey called, I think it's called Student Money Matters, and it gets released every year. There's some really interesting information there. So we've pulled some data from the most recent report, and we've found that 76% of students said that they worry about making ends meet while they're at university. We know that 1 in 10 students admit that they've never really budgeted before they went to university. 74% of those students wish they'd had a better financial education. And 43% of students feel that they weren't really made aware of the financial options open to them. So you can see it's quite a big problem. And if you guys are here, I'm assuming it's because you've sort of had those same thoughts as well. You want to better educate yourself about the different options that are available to you financially for university. And it might even have a bit of an impact on whether you decide to go to university, whether you decide to take that step. So there are 4 key things we're going to kind of cover today. So the package, which is the entitlement, so the different financial elements that you might be entitled to, how you do the application process, how do you make sure that you've got enough to live off of, and then how do you pay that back? So just a very quick kind of recap of that why go to university question. You've probably thought about this a lot already. You've probably discussed it with your tutors, maybe even with ourselves if you've had a Make Happen session in your college. But we know that there are lots and lots of benefits to going to university and to studying a higher education course, such as being able to study a subject you're passionate about. You can achieve a high-level qualification that can help you reach your dream career. It also gives you really valuable transferable skills, lots of life skills, helps you grow in confidence. You meet lots of people along the way. And overall, you get much better job prospects and a much higher earning potential. But then we always get asked this question. So, but isn't university really expensive? And unfortunately, it kind of is. And I'm sure you know that. I'm sure you know how much university costs, or you have a little bit of an awareness that it's always considered something quite expensive. But that is exactly what the student finance package is for. The whole point of this and the whole reason that we're sitting here today and going through this package is so that finances are not a barrier to you. The financial element of university should not be a barrier to any student. So we'll start with the basics. We'll go with how much does university cost per year? So currently, per year, you're spending £9,250 on your tuition fees. That is currently frozen as well. So that isn't going to increase in, I think it's the next sort of 2 or 3 years. So the government always does a review on this, but it has been frozen for a while. So that's what we're looking at. So any of you who are in Year 11, Year 12, Year 13, this is most likely what you're going to pay for your tuition fees. And while we're sort of talking about the cost of that and how much it is overall and whether it sort of makes university actually worth it, we can look a little bit at the career benefits and how that translates to the sort of prospects that you get. So in some data from, I think it's 2020, 2021, we compared graduates to non-graduates. So someone who has a degree is sorry, 60% of graduate employees will be employed. And that'll be from any degree discipline. So, say you decided to do your degree in politics, but you left university and you thought, actually, I'm not sure I want to go into politics. You can still use that degree to get into lots of other subjects. It could be anything. It could be marketing. It could be finance. Like the transferable skills that you get from a degree really, really help you with a broad range of careers. A university graduate is also more likely to be in a high-skilled job, and that translates to therefore earning significantly more. So in the 2020-2021 financial year, the average salary of a non-graduate is £25,500 and a graduate is £35,000. That's a huge, huge increase. There's nearly £10,000 a year extra that you are earning as a graduate. Okay, so it isn't obviously all about money. It's, about having the career that you want and having the life that you want. But the prospects that you get from having a degree are significant, and you can really distill that down. You can really see that with the sort of average salary that you get as a graduate. And something that we will come to a little bit later, and that hopefully you can see as your key takeaway, or one of your key takeaways from today, is that while you're earning £10,000 a year more on average as a graduate, you do not pay back £10,000 a year in your student loan. Okay, so you don't lose out on that extra money. It is genuinely extra money for you. So a little bit of an overview of how it works. So you've got two bodies that you need to be aware of: Student Finance England and the Student Loans Company. So Student Finance England is, imagine them as like the information port. So they're where you get your information from. They're the government body. And then the Students' Loan Company is kind of like the bank. They're the people that actually loan you the money. Okay, so you'll see these two companies come up while you're making your application. And then this is what they actually provide to you. So this is what the actual student finance package looks like. So we start with the basics, the £9,250, that tuition fee loan. So we know that's how much it's going to be for you guys. And that is standard across every student, across all undergraduate courses. And that is paid for every single student. And that money goes straight to the university. So you don't even need to worry about it. When you apply, you tell the student loans company which uni you're at, and then they just send that money straight to the university. Okay, so that's a guaranteed part of your package. The other guaranteed part of your package is this little bit of maintenance loan. So everyone gets the minimum amount of maintenance loan, and that is for your living costs. So that's everything extra. So that's your rent and your food and your bills, for you to go out, buy clothes, whatever. That's your sort of income. Okay, everyone gets that. And then on top of that, there's a little bit extra to top up your maintenance loan. And this is called a means tested maintenance loan. So that's dependent on your total household income, like currently. You can actually go online and check this for yourself now. So if you go to gov.uk/student finance calculator, you can put in roughly what your total household income is, and it will tell you what package you would expect to receive from the student finance, from the student loans company. So if we break these three elements down, you've got your tuition fee loan. So we know it's £9,250, and that actually pays for your course and for the experience and for the campus. So it covers things like your lecturers, the other university staff that are on campus. That could be security, the maintenance team, the admissions team, whatever. You've got your student services. You've then got all your equipment. So if you've ever been to visit a campus, you will see that they're pretty much always absolutely decked out in lots of amazing equipment that you will use on your courses, and all the other facilities that are there too. So that could be the gym, the accommodation, everything like that. So that's what your tuition fee loan covers. Then the second and third parts of your package, these are your maintenance loan bits. This is designed to pay for everything else. And this is for you to manage. So you get given a pot of money every term, and you have to figure out how you're going to use that to pay for things like accommodation, travel, food, going out, clothes, toiletries, and then all your fun things, Netflix, mobile phone, etc. And there are two factors which determine how this maintenance loan part is going to be distributed to you. So first of all is where you live whilst you study at university. And secondly is your household income. Okay. So the first part, maintenance loan based on your location. So there are three kind of main options that you could pick when you decide to go to university. You could stay living at home, in which case you get this standard amount. Currently, that is £8,610. You could decide that actually you want to live away from home. And if that is outside of London, you get 10,227. And if you live away from home in London, it's 13,348. Okay, so living away from home, that means that you're living in halls, or maybe you're living in a private student house. Okay, so you get a little bit more money if you live away from home, and you get a little bit more money if you live in London. Okay, and that's just because the cost of living is, as we all know, just that little bit higher in London. So that's the first part, the first factor that affects your maintenance loan. And then the second part is your household income. So as I mentioned, you've got two parts to your maintenance loan. That first part is the minimum amount, that bit that everyone gets. So everyone currently gets £4,767. Okay. So that's the basics of your maintenance loan. If your total household income is £65,000 and above, then that is all you get. You do not get anything extra. Okay, and by total household income, what I mean is all the people who are over 18, who are full-time earners in that household, okay, that are contributing to that household. So that could be parents or carers. So if you are living with one parent, then it's their total income. If you're living with two parents or carers, then it's their combined income. If you've got, say you've got three adults that are living in that house, then it's the combined combination of those three incomes. Okay. And then at the other end of the scale, we've got the lowest threshold for household income. So if your household income is £25,000 and under, you actually get the full maintenance loan, which is 10,227. Okay, so you've got those two ends of the spectrum there. And then the rest is proportional. Okay, so can you see as the household income increases or decreases, the maintenance loan does the opposite. So you will sit somewhere on that scale between the minimum and the maximum. Okay, so again, I recommend going back to that student finance calculator and just having if you're not exactly sure what your parents or carers earn, just give it an estimate, pop it in, and it will tell you roughly what to expect. And then this is just a summary of those thresholds. Okay, so you might be able to see just now, if you know roughly what the income is, you might be able to see roughly where you sit. Okay. So that's the entitlement. Okay, so you can see it's broken down into your three elements. So your tuition fee, which goes straight to the university, your standard maintenance loan, which you will definitely get, and then a little bit of a top up for a maintenance loan on top, which is based on where you live and what is your total current household income. And it's the total current income at the time that you apply. And then each year, so if anything significant changes, then you have to let the student loans company know. Okay, so if anything happens to that total household income each year, you can let them know, and that might affect your entitlement. Okay, so that's the entitlement there. The second part is applying. So if any of you who are watching this are in year 13 or your second year of college, or you've applied to university already, you've probably already got your offers back. And you will be thinking about doing this application process because it is going to open really soon. So you apply online, you apply through the gov.uk website. So this is that Student Finance England part, that government body part I talked about. So you complete your application with these guys online. And there's a couple of steps to it. It's quite straightforward. Student Finance England revamped their online system about a year or two ago, and it is so good now. It's so much better, and it's a really, really easy system to use. So you can apply from the end of March. So you've got about 2.5, 3 weeks when Student Finance opens up. And there's two parts to it. Part one is your application. So you fill out all of your details. You fill out what university you think you're going to be going to. You put in your preferred course. And then if that changes, then you can update it. Okay, so by the end of March, even if you've had all of your offers back, you might not be 100% sure which university you're going to go to. Or you might pick one as your firm choice, and then maybe you don't get the grades that you needed, and so you take your second choice. Or you might just change your mind. That's absolutely fine. Don't be afraid to put down just whichever you think is your most likely university. Okay, they just need you to put something down on the application form, and then you must make sure that you update that before September. Okay, just otherwise the student loans company might accidentally send the money to the wrong university. But it's okay at this stage to just put whichever is your first choice. The second part is for your parents to do, or your carers. So you need them to log on and create an account as well. It links up with your account, and they put in their income details. Okay, so that's usually in the form of a P60. It might be in term, they might require pay slips. If they're self-employed, then they might need their tax returns. Okay, so they're going to need all of their financial information from the last year, and it's the average salary that they earned over the last 12 months. And as I said, the system is really good now, and you can actually track the progress of your application all the way through. You can regularly log on and you can see at what stage it's at. There is also a live chat function, and the team there are super helpful. So if you need anything, you can just log on and have a chat with one of the team there. The other thing that is on the Student Finance England system, and is kind of an additional step, is that you can look for other sources of income. So this is stuff within the student finance team. So these are a couple of examples of the types of additional support that you can get from Student Finance England. So there's absolutely loads of them. These are just a couple. So for example, students that are leaving care. So if you've been in care up until you were 18, between 18 and going to university, you might be leaving care. You might already be independent. You might have children yourself. You might have other adults who are dependent on you, like if you are a carer. There's a disabled students allowance. You can get support if you are studying certain courses, like NHS focused courses like medicine, social work, and also teaching. Or if your situation is a bit different and you're doing a study abroad course, you also get some like different kind of help there. So there's absolutely loads of them. The link again is down below. So you can see it's just student finance extra help. That's all they call it. It's really, really easy to find. You can have a look now. You don't have to wait until you've done your application. So I recommend having a little look, because you might find that there are so many additional sources of income that you just didn't anticipate that you would be entitled to. And you should try and take as much financial support as possible, okay, just to make your life a little bit easier. So that's the support that you can get through Student Finance England. I'm just going to divert a little bit and look at bursaries, scholarships, and grants. So you probably all know what these are. This is additional money that you can get either as a loan or as a grant, which you don't need to pay back. And they're usually for different sort of characteristics as part of your application. So it could be that you are, you're very high up in a sports team, that you've got musical talent, or that you have got really high academic grades. So loads of different places offer grants and scholarships. Some universities in particular offer bursaries for students with all different characteristics, but particularly from lower income families. So it's different everywhere. It's not a guaranteed source of income, but it could mean a little bit of extra money each year. So for some of these grants and scholarships and bursaries, you need to apply directly. But for other ones, you just get given them automatically. So when you complete your UCAS application, please make sure that you tick the box towards the end of the application that says that you consent for UCAS to share all of your details with the university, and make sure that you declare everything that you possibly can on your application. So even if you're not 100% sure, if you think, for example, that you have care responsibilities and you could be considered a young carer, or you come from a military family, or you might have come from a low income family, anything like that, please declare it. It will not affect your application. So when you tick that box that says consent to share, it doesn't get shared with the people who make a decision on your actual application. So what happens is you apply, UCAS send your personal statement and your details to the university you've applied to. They read it and make a decision. And then only when they offer you a place and you accept that place, do your other details then get sent to the university. Okay, so don't ever worry that that could influence the decision on whether you get a place or not. And then these are just two local examples of these types of bursaries. So University of Essex, for example, offers a bursary of up to £1,000 for students with a household income below 35 grand. And Anglia Ruskin offers a bursary of up to £200 a year for students with household income less than 42,875. So a very weird specific number. I'm sure there's a reason behind that. But you'll see that lots of different universities offer these kinds of bursaries. So it's always worth checking. There's also loads of charities that offer grants as well, from all different characteristics. I've just picked a couple, care leavers, low-income families, certain ethnicities, certain hardship funds as well. And as I've mentioned already, there are grants for if you're studying certain courses. You can also get scholarships for academic achievement. So again, these are three examples. So Anglia Ruskin offers a merit scholarship if you get a certain number of UCAS points. You can see here, if you get 120 UCAS points, which is the equivalent of BBB at A level, you get £1,000. And that's automatic as well. So they'll just know when you receive your grades through the exam board, they'll know that you got the points, and then you get awarded the scholarship. UEA offers £1,000 if you've got musical talent, and Bournemouth offers £5,000 to students who are high-performing sports people. The best way to actually find grants and scholarships, and I always feel a bit guilty saying this, but the best way is just to Google it. I couldn't possibly tell you all the different scholarships and bursaries that there are. There are so many of them, and they are so unique to every situation. So you're just going to have to Google it. I recommend, though, going to the university's website directly. And then I've also pulled these three websites. These are my favorite three for this. So you've got Black Bullion, which they also offer like different types of student loans as well, postgraduate loans, but they have one of the best scholarship search engines at the minute. You've got the Scholarship Hub, and you've got Turn to Us grants. They will have very similar things on them, but it is worth checking each of them because, for example, Turn to Us grants does grants and scholarships for everyone, not just for students as well. So it's worth doing a little bit of cross-referencing. Any questions so far? I've just bombarded you with a lot of information. I'm just going to try and pull up the chat and see if I can see it. Sorry, I'm just going to take a drink. So if you've got any questions, just pop them in the chat and I will be able to see them come up. Okay. I'm going to move on. I'll keep an eye on the chat though. Do feel free to put them in there. I will pick them up at the end of the session. So let's move on to budgeting. So we've applied for the student finance package, we've applied for loads of scholarships and bursaries, and we've got a bunch of money that hopefully will see us through university. So how do we actually use that? So this was a really interesting stat that came from that survey, from the Student Money Matters survey. So they asked the students, is your maintenance loan big enough? So the one that you get provided by the student loans company. And 64% of students said no. So let's have a little look into why that might be. So if we look at our income, we know that we've definitely got the student finance maintenance loan. But then also you might have your scholarships and bursaries, you might have help from your parents, you might also look for some part-time work. And if you've been very savvy, you will have some savings with you. But then if we start to look at outgoings, it's really important to remember that as a student, you're going to have outgoings that you've probably not had to consider before. And I know a lot of them seem really obvious, but it's worth just reminding you or just bringing it to the forefront of your mind because, in our experience of working with students for sort of many years, we do find that this is one of the sort of big areas where students really struggle. And particularly if you've never had to think about it before, it can be quite daunting. So, see, the first thing to consider is your accommodation. It is not included in your university offer, unfortunately. It is something that you have to arrange separately. Now, when you accept your offers on UCAS, you can start looking for accommodation. Most universities have got a range of accommodation. They'll have the sort of the budget accommodation all the way up to quite expensive accommodation. And sometimes they partner with private companies like Unite, and they have these sort of luxurious studio apartments. So it's entirely up to you how you want to spend your money and what money that you have available to spend on your accommodation. But there will be a range of offers. You can also live off campus, that's quite common. Your other thing is travel. If you do live off campus, you might need to be getting the bus every day to get to your classes. You might decide that you want to buy a bike. So you might want to put aside a few £100s to pick up a bike from somewhere. You need to be buying your food and then also your bills and then also the fun stuff as well. Like, don't forget to budget for that as well. Like, just because you are tight on money, just because you're having to work to a tight budget, doesn't mean that you shouldn't include things like socializing, holidays, things like that. You can try and work that into your budget because one of the sort of important reasons to go to university is to be able to really enjoy that process and to get the most out of that experience. And also your hobbies. Universities have always got lots of sports facilities, lots of student union societies, things that you might want to join in. So from that same survey, this is how much the average student spent in 2023. So you can see the majority of their money is obviously going on their rent. But what this also shows us is that on average, you need about just over £1,000 a year, £1,000 a month to spend. So if you get that full maintenance loan, that will work out at approximately £1,000 a month. But as you saw, unless your household income is below that threshold, that £25,000 and under, you will only receive a proportion of that. So say you only receive £500 maintenance loan from the student loans company, you need to try and make up that £500 pitfall somewhere else. Okay. But you can see that this £1,000, it covers everything. So obviously the biggest chunk goes on rent and then on their groceries and on their bills. But they have also factored in all things like going out, having a takeaway, having a holiday or like booking tickets to a gig or something like that. So this accounts for everything. You are not supposed to go to university and not do anything because you can't afford it. There are lots of ways that you can supplement your income, which we're going to come to in a minute, and how you can still sort of enjoy that process and have that full, well-rounded university experience. So £1,000 is quite reasonable, I think. Now, supplementing your income. So many of you will probably already have a part-time job, so you'll have this experience. It's really, really common for students to have a part-time job. I don't know many students that we work with that don't have a part-time job. For any of you that live in Colchester, where I do, or if you live in any town actually that has something like a Weatherspoons, probably 8, 9 times out of 10 that I go in there, I see someone working at the bar or doing food service that I recognize, that I know from the university, or that I know is a student. So it's in all these big cities and all these big university cities, there'll be lots of employers that are used to working with students. So retail and hospitality is a really big employer. Another amazing opportunity is as a student ambassador. I think every university that I've come across has a student ambassador program. So this means that you get to work for the university, you get to work on lots of events. If you've ever been on a campus visit to any university, you'll probably have been shown around by other students. They will be the student ambassadors. So usually you get paid quite well, and it's lots of sort of fun events, and it's a really good way to get involved with the university. Also look out for brand reps and ambassadors. This is particularly good for courses like law and business. There will be big companies that will pay you to be a brand rep on campus. And that could just mean that you put on certain events that are sponsored by the particular company. They might work with your society, like if you're part of the law society, they might sponsor you. Students often do lots of tutoring, and there's also lots of temp work as well. So sign up to lots of local agencies and just get lots of temp work sort of around the town or around the city. There will be someone on campus who can help you with this as well. There is always someone in the Students' Union who's sort of dedicated to helping students find part-time work. And probably my biggest tip for this is do it early. Like, there's no harm in applying for jobs or asking about jobs before you get to the university, before you even get to the city. So you've got that whole time between when you get your exam results and when you actually start university in sort of September, October. You might as well go online, sign up to all the local temp agencies, ask the university about the ambassador opportunities. You could even apply for a couple of part-time jobs, letting the company know that you're going to be starting in September. And I really recommend doing this, firstly, because you get the pick of the best jobs, because not everyone will be doing this. And second of all, it means that by the time you get to uni, you've got your job sorted and you don't have to worry about it when you're sort of panicking in Freshers Week trying to find yourself a job. There are obviously lots of pros and cons for part-time work. My job is obviously to be the voice of reason, so I will give you the balanced view. We know that 66% of students take part-time work to help fund their studies. So as I say, it's really, really common. And the pros are easy. It's extra cash, you make friends outside of university, and you really gain a lot of work experience. It's so, so valuable to have it on your CV. I've done lots of hiring at other companies that I've worked at prior to this, and it's very tricky when we get students applying that their CV doesn't have anything on it apart from the degree that they've just got. It's really hard to hire them because everyone else that's applying for that job also has a degree. So this work experience kind of sets you apart from all your peers. However, be cautious when taking on part-time work because it can take up your spare time. You may find yourself being extra stressed, particularly around exams or times when you've got lots of assignments. And it may cause you to miss out on some student experiences. So do just be really cautious about your shifts. Another top tip I would say, when you're applying for work, when you accept a position, a part-time job, make sure that the employer is really clear about the fact that you are a student. If you've got any key dates that your department have already given you in Freshers Week or in your first few weeks, pass those on. Tell your employer straight away. You say, yes, I would love to take on a job. Thank you for offering me the job. However, just to let you know, during this week, I will not be working because I have exams. And it's okay to say that. It's the best time to let them know, give them loads of notice. The other way to supplement your income is parental contribution. It's a little bit of a controversial one. And we know that lots of students and parents say that it does feel a little bit unfair for there to be this expectation that parents contribute to you once you are over 18. But rightly or wrongly, it is the system. And that is how the maintenance loan is worked out. That's why it's means tested. So if you are not eligible for the full maintenance loan, the reason that you get less of it is because Student Finance England expects your parents to chip in to make up that difference. So if we use that example of it probably costs about £1,000 a month, if you only get £500 maintenance loan, that £500 is expected for you to make that up. And generally, it's expected that your parents will contribute to making up that difference. Okay, we know that last year, students on average were getting £227 a month from their parents. That is a phenomenal amount of money. Like particularly if you've got other children, even if you're working full time, you've got two parents that are working full time, that can be an awful lot of money. But that was the average that students were getting from their parents last year. That's what they needed. However, at the same time, 15% of students were saying that their parents were not able to contribute enough money. Okay. There is lots of information, particularly on Money Saving Expert. I'm sure you all know about this site. There's loads of information for parents, including a calculator. So if you Google Money Saving Expert student parent contribution calculator, it brings it up and it's really, really useful. So start thinking about this now. Let your parents know, based on the calculator, what you think you're going to get from your maintenance loan, what that difference is going to be, and start making a plan. This is where you can make an agreement with your parents that they might be able to help you with X amount of money. And now you know that you need to go and get a part-time job to make up the rest of it. Okay. So yeah, that's how you sort of make sure that you've got enough money. That's really, really key. And it's something to think about now, because you know, as soon as you put in your application, you'll know what your finance package is going to look like. Okay. And then for our very last section is paying it back. So this is a bit of a worry for students. This is where we start to think about that question of, is it worth it? So is the very expensive cost of university, is it worth it? Is it a proper investment in my future? So if we have a little look at all the things that we've talked about, let's add up all the student loans that you might have built up. So say you did a 3-year standard degree course. We can see each year, we know it's 9,000 roughly pounds a year. So over 3 years, that's £27,000. For this example, we're going to say that you did get the full maintenance loan. So that's 10 grand. Over 3 years, that's approximately 30 grand. So in total, over 3 years, you have built up this amount, £58,431. Now, that is a phenomenal amount of money, and it does feel very scary, and it can feel quite quite intimidating to look at that. But what I'm going to show you is how straightforward it is to pay that money back. Because as I mentioned right at the beginning, the financial elements of the university is not supposed to be a barrier to any student. So now we want to look at, will this £58,000 debt have any impact on your future? So there are 3 golden rules to repaying your student loans, really, really straightforward. The first one, this is the only one that requires a bit of maths, is that you only repay 9% of anything you earn over £25,000. So that's your threshold, is 25 grand. So for example, you earn 23 grand, you pay back nothing, okay, because you haven't met the threshold. If you earn 26 grand, you are £1,000 over that threshold. See that green box? Therefore, you pay 9% of £1,000. So that's £90 a year, which is only £7.50 a month. If you earn 30 grand, you are 5 grand over the threshold. So 9% of 5 grand is £450 a year. So you only pay back £37.50 a month. Okay, so really straightforward. It's just about anything over that 25 grand. So it's a very small amount still. And then how you actually repay it is actually at this stage here. So you will have probably seen a payslip that looks similar to this if you've got a part-time job. So this is generally what it looks like. You've got on the left, this big box here. This is your basic pay. This is what you get paid for your job. And then this box on the right here are your deductions. So your tax, national insurance, it comes out automatically. You probably don't even know what the amount is. I never really know. I know roughly what I pay in tax and national insurance, but it just comes out automatically and you never really see it. Your student loan gets put in that box. So it comes out automatically. You do not know how much it is. Sorry, you do know how much it is, but you do not see it. It doesn't go into your total pay down here. So this in the bottom right-hand corner, this is what you actually get put into your bank account. So you never actually see it. Okay. So that's the first rule. The second rule is that the size of your loan does not decide how much you pay back. So the size of your loan does not overrule rule one. So if you owe £20,000, but you earn 30,000, you pay that 37.50 that we worked out a month. If you owe 60 grand and you earn £30,000 a year, you still pay 37.50. If you, for whatever reason, owed £100,000, but you haven't started working yet, you pay nothing. Okay, so nothing can override that threshold. And then the last rule is that after 40 years, any remaining debt is wiped. Okay, so currently, 52% of graduates are only 52% of graduates are likely to repay their loans by the time they're written off. Okay, so myself included, is very unlikely that I will ever fully pay back my student loan. So that money just comes out of my account every month, out of my wages, and it's what's considered a working lifelong graduate tax. Okay, so if we think back to the beginning of the presentation, where I said, on average, with a degree, you earn £10,000 more than if you didn't have a degree. The money that you're paying back, as we've just worked out, is, say, approximately £37.40 a month. That's what, £500 a year. So say you're paying back £500 a year in student loan, but you earn £10,000 a year more than if you didn't have your degree. You're still earning a significant more amount of money than you would if you didn't have your degree, if that makes sense. Okay, so the difference is huge. So this is where it comes to that question: is it worth it? Do you believe that that small graduate tax that you get coming out of your wages every month before it goes into your account, do you think it's worth the benefits that you're going to get? And it is really an investment in your future. So it's entirely up to you, and it's entirely dependent on what your path is going to be. So if you need a degree to get the career that you want, then hopefully what I've shown you is that the financial bit isn't a barrier. It is a little bit of a struggle while you are actually a student. You do have to obviously make sure that you're making ends meet, and you probably, in all likelihood, will need a part-time job, which is true of most students. But that's sort of a very common kind of life experience. It's helping you to sort of build up that independence. And as I said, the benefits are that you get lots of work experience, as well as being able to top up your financial situation.